Okay, that's the intro music for today because we're a little behind the eight ball in the sense of getting things squared away. Everybody, welcome back on board. One more quarter. I'm your host, the Duncan Dad. Happy Veterans Day. First and foremost, to all those who served our country, giving us the freedoms or ensuring the freedoms that we are able to practice here in this country. Many relatives of my family served. I know a lot of guys in the chat. A lot of ladies in the chat have served as well. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment to the country. Because let's be honest, man, without your service, without your commitment to the greater good and freedom, we really wouldn't be experiencing all the freedoms that we have here today. There is something to it. You know, someone has to be the big brother, someone has to be the big sister, someone has to keep freedom free. So I served in a different capacity um, in the, I guess you'd call it's not really the private sector, but not in an actual military capacity. I worked in and around those guys, but never actually as a member or an arm or a branch of U.S. military. So, again, thank you to all the men and women out there who have served this country. Kids today at school, they had a Veterans Day service where some of the other parents had come in. The little ones sang "God Bless America." Just perspective, I think, for a lot of the younger generation who, we're removed now from a lot of our grandparents served in World War II, so we were much reminded of a lot of the sacrifices that they made. And of course, there was the sacrifice of those individuals who served in, the first Gulf conflict, and then everyone post 9/11. But unfortunately, that doesn't get as much recognition in the way of service as a lot of those other, great wars did. But again, grateful for everyone for the service. Grateful for everyone who has, put on the uniform and shined the boots and stood at attention. Why am I here today? Why another background for the Duncan Dad? So the middle one woke up sick, got a message in the morning, hanging over the bathtub, toilet, all that kind of stuff. Packed up. I got here, keep an eyeball on her today while she's recovering. I think it was kind of just a little, I don't know, not even a 24-hour bug, just a little thing in her system, get it out. She had got her flu shot and her COVID booster um, on Wednesday. So I'm thinking maybe some of this all goes together. But what I am. Oh, a new show alert. What I want to talk to you about today. Press my podcast joining. Oh, okay. We have a debut episode today coming up on nofilter.net. David Benz, Press Box Party Podcast. Join the NoFilterNet team. Join them today, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So when I finish up, matriculate on over for a live chat as we drop the debut episode here. Episode 2 to follow very, very soon. Here's the link to join today. All right, here we go. These guys are rocking and rolling here on No Filter. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Learn something new every day. Constantly growing. We're constantly growing here on nofilter.net. I think my friend and colleague, who I haven't spoken to in the longest time, Uncle Rico, may be in the knocker room. See how unprepared I am today. I had to pull out the dongle for the USB, packed up last second, had stuff ready to go. And I did have a specific topic I wanted to talk about, but I'm very much open to many, many, many types of topics and discussion today because I just like to go with the flow. I mean, let's go with the flow today. See what happens. I know Rico and I haven't talked about anything in the way of the elections, but a couple talking points for him that I was going to bring up to his attention before we got started on some of the other programs. So hopefully he'll jump in here in 1 second. But I guess one of the one of the things that I did want people to think about, and if we don't get it today, we'll get it on Monday. Reminded, and he's got an Arizona connection to Rico, so it sort of melds. I started thinking about this morning, like when I got that call about being able to get up and go, and how so many times in our daily lives we get called upon, right? We called upon for this service. We get called upon to maybe perform a task that's outside of our comfort zone, or perform a task that we weren't necessarily envisioning partaking in that particular day or that particular week. Those instances where things, just things come up, things happen, and you're given a lot of privilege with the freedoms that are provided for you and afforded to you, specifically, in modern day United States, because of all of this freedom that's been afforded to us, that you have this concept of availability. And I know, Coach Herm has always been key with saying, the best availability. And we're this availability for a myriad of reasons, primarily the freedoms that we're, secured because of those who serve, but also it's a privilege. And we have this privilege to be available to people. And we talk about relationships. We talk about, doing things sometimes that aren't necessarily always pleasant, to your taste or to your disposition or to the way that you thought things were going to be. But nonetheless, we show up. And now we have transitioned to full on holiday season. We have packed away the jack o' lanterns and skeletons and morphed into the town and bomb that is the Christmas tree.
So, one thing you will learn about me very fast, if you haven't already learned, is that I am a whore for the holidays. Absolute horror, specifically the fall season. I love fall. Now, I don't want to skip over Thanksgiving because I treasure Thanksgiving, but I'm that guy. I'm that guy that starts putting up his Christmas tree the second that it hits November 1st. I'm the guy that starts watching Christmas movies, playing Christmas music. I am the worst of the worst.
Are you indulging in Christmas carols?
100%. Christmas movies in the background,
I was going to allude to that next, but
Hallmark.
the Hallmark, yes, that makes sense. Now, are you on the 25 days of Hallmark movie kick,
Mhm.
or is this sort of like is this the prequel? Is this like the lead into the new movies? Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah, so it's the 25 days. They have new movies all the time because this is where they make their nut. Let's be
You know,
honest.
like I do have something in the way of Hallmark movies that I have to really, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. People come into our lives, relationships change, blah blah blah. Sometimes they do with these nuggets that are good. Sometimes, you'll learn. There's a movie called it's either The Gift or The Greatest Gift, but it's got James Garner in it. And he's this like
Oh my god.
wealthy billionaire and he passes away and he's got this kind of recluse grandson and then he has to perform all these
Mhm.
tasks and he kind of goes, I'm telling you, not an apologist for a Hallmark movie, but that movie gets me every single time. Every single time.
Dude, because you have a heart. You're not a robot. I mean, let's be honest. Some of
Right.
these movies knock it out of the park. Now, I understand that they are cheesy in nature and they have a blueprint. So, yesterday I went onto Twitter to help out all of the single lonely individuals to help them with their singleness this holiday season. And I said, according to Hallmark Channel, if you don't want to be single for the holidays, do these things. First, have a job. Absolutely important. You've got to be working. You can't be a bum, can't be on a couch. Now, you could be recently unemployed, but you've had to been a tax-paying citizen for at least 5 to 10 years. Number 2, you have to have a failed relationship of some type. It can be marriage, it can be dating. You just have to have a track record of either A, a divorce, or B, failed relationships.
It'd be like that high school romance that never came to fruition in college because she went
Mhm.
one way, you went the other way. That fits. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
100%.
All right.
Number 3, you have to acquire a child. Some way, shape, or form, you need to acquire a child. Now, this could be a child from a previous marriage. This could be a child that you've inherited due to their parents dying. This could be a child that is a neighbor. One way, shape, or form, you need to acquire a child.
So
Um,
something along the lines of like a mentorship, a big brother, big sister sort of thing where you get.
that could work. Now, generally speaking, the main character, the single person, um, will be the one to acquire the child. Now, your love interest will also be acquiring a child as a result of this relationship. So, both people will be acquiring a child at some point, but it's a must for one of the consenting adults to have
Okay.
acquired a child of some
All
type.
right. Job, long-standing relationship with loss or breakup, and a child. Okay.
Yep.
Seems like a good formula so far.
So far. Number 4, you must spend the holidays outside of a city. This is an absolute must as well. You cannot be in the city. You have to be in a town that is, it doesn't need to be a small town per se, but it needs to be on the outskirts of the city. Say middle class to upper middle class neighborhood, mom and pop shops, you know, any place in the northern part of the country where you can get snow and lights.
So a better home and gardens sort of town
Yes.
thing. Okay. All right.
Now, it does work in the South. There are
Mhm.
plenty of these Christmas tales because some of us in the South don't get snow frequently. So you have to make do. Per se, uh, Cajun Christmas. Louisiana has their fabled Cajun Christmas festivities in a Cajun Santa. So there is the possibility for becoming not single in weather that is not snow drenched snow caps.
Still predicated on the more rural, small town ish feel vibe.
100%. If you are next to a high rise building of any type, you're done. You're toast. Not happening.
Okay. So like Charlotte or you in like Asheville wouldn't really work, but if we go like a little outside of that,
Hmm.
okay, all right. I was thinking
Coastal
Savannah, Georgia.
Carolina,
Coast, yeah, right.
or, I'm trying to think of the smaller towns in Louisiana, Georgia. Preferably if you're in a warm area, somewhere where there's a farm and farm animals, that usually uh, helps. Something about horses specifically really get those pheromones going, and the scent of your pheromones mixed with the outdoor barn scenery
Hmm.
is sure to get a rouse out of the opposite sex.
Um, dungarees, flannel, pickup truck, essential.
100%. I
Okay,
mean, essential. If you don't have a flannel, you're fucked. Like,
all
let's
right.
be honest. You must have at least a flannel. And I know I keep using the word must, but these are musts. Like,
I don't think I have a flannel. I don't think I do. I think I went through this stage where I might have gotten one of that whole like grungy music kind of thing, and it was sort of like put on the back burner. I think we made like one or two like Pearl Jam, Nirvana things here and there. Then I don't know. It didn't
mhm,
it didn't resonate with me, but that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah. Here is the next one, number
All right.
5. Strike up a friendship with an emotionally unavailable workaholic in a relationship. They must be in a relationship. They cannot just be emotionally unavailable, or workaholic. You have to have the three: emotionally unavailable, in a relationship, workaholic.
All right, so we're staying away from Anne Hathaway in Devil Wears Prada. We're going more
Hmm.
towards the Mary Jane and Spider-Man sort of vibe.
Yes, and they have to be from a big city.
Can they
They
be?
have to.
No, they be from the big city. They can't be. Okay,
They can't
all
be
right.
a local. No, absolutely not. Cannot be a local. Cannot be accustomed to the festivities of small town rural Christmas.
It can't
Okay,
be one
they
of those
have
like
to.
they were in and out kind of thing. Like, hey, I grew up here, I moved away, committed myself to the
That
big city.
that's a
Does that?
bonus.
Oh, that's a
100%.
bonus.
If
Okay,
they
that's a
used
bonus.
to live there, oh yeah,
Right.
because then
Okay.
they know the town, they
Right.
know the festivities in from their childhood, so it
Right.
takes them a little bit of time to remember, but they
Right.
do have that sort of edge that helps because then they remember the glorious things from their childhood. Nostalgia is a powerful aphrodisiac. Next to
Yes.
grief, it's nature's most powerful aphrodisiac.
I got one Saturday. You're coming with. Ma, I need the meatloaf. We want the meatloaf.
Fuck!
Just living the dream.
Living the
So please,
dream.
please, please, please continue, Chaz.
Okay. And then the most important factor of being in a relationship or finding true love during the Christmas season is you absolutely must say the words, I'm happy for you.
Mm,
You must say this to your new friend. It could be in regards to a relationship, a recent proposal. Usually, the guy or the girl is visited by their girlfriend at some point to come and surprise them while they're away in this small town. And just as the timing of it couldn't be worse because you realize that you are no longer on opposite sides of the track, but you are coming together and feelings, uh, the flames of love are being fanned by your interactions on a daily basis. But then,
isn't that one? Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you go.
No, I was going to say, isn't that one of the most powerful statements when you offer the apparent compliment to someone, suggesting that you are genuinely happy for what they're doing or what they're going through, but at the
While you're
same
dying
time,
inside,
yeah, while you're dying inside, and what it's actually doing is it's triggering all of this reflective, interrogative, rationale in their head. Like, am I really happy? Should I really be here? Am I really appreciating this? And it's kind of funny because
mm-hmm,
like sometimes it takes another individual to point out your happiness in order for you to either like affirm or really deny what it is that you're going through. Because a lot of times, what
mm-hmm,
do? We mask a lot of the feelings ourselves, right? It's a whole mantra of just like tell yourself you're happy, you'll be happy. Tell yourself you're happy, you'll be happy. Hmm. This is very good insight. Very good insight.
yes, you must willingly say, I'm happy for you while dying on the inside. The conflict of their relationship, where you're at in your life, you have to be the good person and no longer pursue. Uh, it has to come uh, organically. And this is once you say, I'm happy for you to the unavailable workaholic, this is a powerful love spell. It's an incantation of the Christmas love spell, sure to entrance any in its path.
I know. It's hitting me right now.
Yeah, once you say those words, everything is off the table, or everything is on the table. All bets are off. The
Please
previous
take notes out there.
relationships no longer apply. It's free game.
Now this has to come from the person who is being
This is from the courter, not the courtee.
from the courtier, correct? That was what I was thinking from the one who's being pursued. No, it's from the one that was
Mhm.
pursuing. Right. One who's pursuing is like, hey, I'm happy for you.
Yep.
Like you've moved on, you've grown, you've done X, Y, and Z.
And
All
it
the while, he's like, did I miss my chance? She's like, did I miss
yes.
my chance? Did I blow it? No, go on, yes.
Yes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in regards to a relationship. It could be in regards to something to do with work. They got a new job or a promotion that is going to take them away from that town and get them back to the city to uh, commence their previous life as a
Mm,
workaholic. So you'll know if the spell is working if they get a promotion from their job that will take them away.
mhm, mhm. Very good. And this can be applied as long as we meet those 3 or 4 requirements, no matter what, situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, 100%. It's a open and shut case. Um, you will be sure to at least have a fiance if you do these things.
I wanna get her name correct because she was always the one that I thought was, best on this. I'm gonna ask you about your, particular, there it is, that's her name. So, you have at some point, because there's obviously the Up Network now, Lacey Chabert, Candace
Mhm.
Cameron, and my
Mm,
personal favorite, Alicia Witt, who's the ginger
mm.
redhead sort of girl. Do you have anyone in particular that you would like to co-star opposite in one of these productions?
Well, I'm gonna say Lacey Chabert right off the bat because I've had a thing for her natural big-chested ass since Mean Girls, and really since Party of Five. Like
It was Party
she
Fight, yeah,
is
and I can't forget Danica
stacked.
McKellar, but Danica McKellar is like she's in a different spot. Like for me, that's always Winnie Cooper,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
just, you know what I mean. I see her on the Hallmark stuff, and I appreciate that. But I yeah, that's where I'm at with her. But yeah, so
There's one more that she really floats my boat. Um, she's a little Canadian girl by the name of Erin Carpluck. Carpluck.
Car Pluck,
Yeah, she's in a
yeah.
few of them, but she is in this one that I love called The Christmas Lodge,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
it's
I remember that one. Remember that one?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very simple. It's got some notes of faith in there, which can turn some people off. For myself, I enjoy it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's simple, it's heartwarming, and she is just a bubbly little sprite that really she's adventurous, she's bold, she's what I call cute hot. Now,
Yes, definitely. And I need to interject for 1 second.
mhm,
Huge shout out to Tyler Hines, Jesse Metcalf, Andrew Walker, Ryan Pavey, and Luke McFarlane. These guys are if you could make a brawny man
oh
with
yeah,
the paper come to life,
hmm
these
they're it.
guys, they are it. It's like what all of us guys who are like, man, one day I want to be like, I want to have like a 5 o'clock shadow at like
hmm
2 a.m. in the morning, and just big. I mean, these guys
They're
they're
like,
awesome. They're
yeah, they're
awesome.
like Paul Bunyan. If Paul Bunyan and Brad Pitt had
Yeah,
an offspring,
yeah,
that's who it would be.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you can, and their dad was John Wayne.
exactly. Yeah, you aspire to be these characters, man. I mean, it's awesome, and it's really cool too because you know what I do like a lot about those the movies, specifically from the guy side, it was that like we have this whole you know Penguin likes to say this whole machismo thing, and it's true. It's like, but you know, you got to find that balance of like the you know was it walk tall, carry a big stick, walk silent, carry a big stick kind of shit. And it's like it's true. Like you should be able to try to find a way to express these kind of feelings, but yet still have like the male side of it. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's kind of corny. Sometimes the stories are a little cheesy, but
Yep.
pay attention to these guys, see what they're doing, and it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt, man. It's good because they got the opposite too, right? They got the type A business going guy who's real cutthroat, and
Hmm.
he's got
I
everything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got all the money, he's got the career. I mean, in his world, he's done everything correct. You know what I mean? But it's just like it's not jiving with the other person, priorities, blah 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 blah, and yeah, I don't know. I've always enjoyed. Uh, that medium over the holidays, and then at the same time, I've enjoyed all the other crazy holiday stories as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's just a good time.
It is. It's a real good time, and there's a sleeper of a movie. Netflix has put out two, but I'm gonna go into Christmas Inheritance. Now, there's a guy in it by the name of Jake Lacey, and something about this guy just does it for me. He is so kind in this movie. He is your typical selfless, does everything for somebody else, uh, tortured love past, but he is the guy that you want your daughter to end up with. Like, he is a man. He's kind of got a dorkier look, but he's brawny, big and
Right.
strong. And you would think he'd be a different kind of man, but he's a little bit more quirky. He's got some pizzazz to him. He's witty. Um, he'll joust you. And the girl in it, she's a total babe. I think her name's Eliza Taylor. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the cast right now. Andy McDowell's in it.
and that's the key right there. I love Andy McDowell. You put Andy McDowell in there, anything, game over, open and shut case. I'm all in. Andy McDowell is an angel, and she should be celebrated long after her bones turn to dust.
Yeah, and she's kind of kept herself in that good light. I mean, I think she's married a couple times, but she's always maintained that not a
Image.
whole lot of yeah, not a whole lot of drama surrounding her. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
never. Now
Yeah.
she's got a daughter that's uh, who got nailed by Pete Davidson.
Oh
Shocker.
gosh.
That dude just takes out every '90s um, spank banker. He's taking out their daughters at will. And this guy, I'll tell you what, we could go all day about out kicking your coverage with this guy Pete Davidson,
Right.
but yeah, Andy McDowell's daughter fell under the spell of Pete Davidson, and he probably did exactly what I have just told the audience here today. He probably used the words "I'm happy for you," and poof, next thing you know, he's balls deep inside of McDowell, which is
Yeah.
the true true story of Christmas. Um, here's the another sleeper on Netflix.
Yes.
Now, we know that they have all sorts of Prince movies. A Prince here, Christmas Prince there, da 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 da. Now,
Lots of Prince movies. Yes.
lots of Prince movies because it's a real easy sell, and anytime you can have a fake monarchy with a handsome prince who is questioning his throne and wanting to go away from the monarchy style into a more democratic form of government and wants to initially be a bachelor and run away from his duties as the crown because normally he has to inherit it because of the king's demise.
Yes.
Um, they can be very blueprintish as well. But you
Sure.
put an English voice in, anything is going to sound sexier and smoother. And there's
Absolutely.
one on Netflix called The Christmas Prince, who's got this little angel called Rose McIver,
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
she is so sweet. She's just a little kind of plump, uh, sugar plum fairy that is. She's 10 kinds of sweet, but uh, she plays a journalist who's undercover as a teacher or tutor for the princess
Hmm.
and is trying to get the story on the prince because he is in tabloids as a bachelor, wild card, etc., etc. And you can figure out how the story will go after that. But they've actually made three of these movies.
Three of
So,
them.
spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you how the first one ends, but you can probably put the puzzle pieces together if they've made three of them. Because the next one's called A Christmas Wedding, and the one after that is called A Christmas Baby.
Oh,
So,
there it is. There it
da
is.
da da.
Now, I've always been intrigued with the arc that a lot of these movies have, where it's they define this person's
Gorgeous.
life. Yeah, this person's life. It's in a setting that is, like everything.
Ostentatious.
It's extremely ostentatious. Everything is ostentatious, and if it's not along the lines of royalty, it's along the lines of like the most picturesque, small whatever town in the world. Like everything is in order. There's not like
Oh,
any
yeah.
riff raff, and then there's the reintroduction of the old characters or the new person to the old person. Blah 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 blah. And there's like that little fallout because there's miscommunication, and then there's like the rebound. Now, has it ever worked to where those two individuals, it doesn't work out?
No.
Like, no, never. It's always every the deal's always sealed.
Once you say I'm happy for you,
That's
it,
it.
it's game over. Like
It's
the
game over.
spell's been cast, you are no longer able to deny the power of Christmas love spells. Once that incantation is said, you're done, you're toast. You are now a life partner for the person who has said this to you.
Can that be said or cast from the prior relationships partner? Does it work in that
No,
area
because you
or
need
no?
to have all, think of it as like a cauldron. You need to
Okay.
have all the ingredients that I mentioned before to
Okay.
prepare that spell properly. So if you are the past flame, that automatically puts you in a negative position. You know, you're not standing inside the pentagram, so to say.
So even if you have this epiphany after said individual, gentleman or young lady, go about to this new relationship and they're questioning stuff and blah 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 blah. As soon as the new individual is like, "I'm happy for you," the spell has been cast, everything else is in place. But now, with the other person comes into the picture again and is like, "I'm really happy for everything that you're doing," blah blah blah. That nothing doesn't hold
Nothing.
water. Nothing.
There has to be an overlap. You have to be at a minimum um, a love flame from 10 years to 15
Okay,
years prior. That's the only way that an old flame could come back in, do all these things, and still have it work. You can't
gotcha,
be you can't be the most recent relationship. You can't
gotcha.
be within a 5 year timeline and come back with this epiphany because time hasn't taken its toll and you haven't had enough time to really come to terms with this new person you are.
Excellent.
And Rose McIver, shout out. I think she's on this show called Ghosts now that's on CBS. Haven't watched it, but want to just because of her
Now, is she
bubbly
the main character?
personality. She is the main character.
All right, so that's how I know her. I remember seeing the name. I was sitting there the other day watching Jeopardy, and I was like, okay, blah blah blah, because I had nothing to do before the Phillies game came on, and they were promo and Ghost about
Yep.
the Halloween episode or something like that. I was like, oh, and blah blah blah, and they, they storyboard like the characters and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay. And that name, like it resonates. It's not one of those names where it's like John Smith.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Rose
pretty.
McIver sounds like the thorn that would be on the rose. It's a very interesting name. It's like a sound. I love her name, Rose McIver. It sounds like the when you picture a rose, you picture the full stem with the spikes. Like that's the type of rose I think of when I hear her name. And
I agree.
I
A
want
full
to,
body.
yeah, I want to just go back to a previous statement that I made about cute hot.
Yes,
Now,
please.
for people who aren't aware of cute hop, um, there are many different levels of attraction in a person, and we're most used to dime pieces, tens, knockouts. Uh, these would be your, not for me, but Kardashian types. They're the ones that wear a ton of makeup. They're always in designer clothes. Um,
Yes.
they're your Instagram models or your OnlyFans, where they are always dolled up to the nines. They don't ever have a moment where they're just seen in pajamas or without makeup, without their hair done in some sort of way.
Correct.
Dressed down. Cute hot is the most powerful attraction that a woman can have because she has the ability to wake up and be
Oh,
beautiful.
you're gonna say it. There it is. There
Wake
it
up
is.
and be attractive. No makeup, hair up, leggings, yoga pants, hoodie, boom, done. Anything they put on, they look good in. But when they dress down, they look better at times, most of the time. I'm a man who loves my women authentic. I love au naturel. So makeup doesn't do it for me. I think it's clown paint, and it's one of the most deceiving things that a person can do to another person. It's a falsehood. It just doesn't represent the female very well. Because some of you guys in the audience know this. You've taken home a 9 or an 8 and wake up next to a 6 or a 5. All of
Hmm.
a sudden, you know, face paint or clown paint or makeup is it's the dermatologist version of Spanx. It keeps everything together. It can hide your inconsistencies, quote unquote. Um, Mimi from Drew Carey. Yeah, she wasn't my type. Shout out to Mimi. What a shotgun she was.
What a
Woo!
babe. What a
What
babe.
a babe.
What a
Um,
babe.
but cute hot is your Marissa Tomei types. Um, Obviously Kate Beckinsale is a knockout 10, but let's say in the movie Clicked,
Hmm.
she's a absolute smoke show, but she is dressed down. She's a mom, you know. When you think of these women that are cute hot, they have the ability to do the everyday average things in everyday average comfy wear, but still have these moments where you just want to throw them up on a countertop and give it to them.
You know, I for me the biggest thing, and makeup is makeup, and you're right. There's definitely been situations where we've put on this mask and we've concealed, because it's
Yeah,
called concealer, a lot of what the authenticity, is of an individual. Now I understand, like, people want to feel better about themselves. People have, sometimes skin problems, shit like that. But even beyond that, for me, the authenticity and the genuine confidence and being secure in who you are will even supersede a lot of the physical attraction, a lot of or what's being presented physically. Now, obviously,
Yeah,
whether it's guy or girl, nobody wants like a slob. I mean, like you should have some self care, some self hygiene. But to your point, there are so many individuals that find themselves completely concealed with the makeup, like Brian's saying, with the eyebrows and the eyelashes, with the lip plumpers and stuff like
yeah,
that. That you can all choose to do what you want to do, but how much of that is really authentically, who you are. So I'm happy for you,
yeah.
but are you really presenting, what you're really all about?
Mhm.
And
Guys out there in the audience, general rule of thumb, this is a red flag. If your girl takes over 45 minutes to get ready to go to the gym, you need to be careful. Those are not cute hot. They do
no,
not fall in that category.
no,
If your girl averages over 45 minutes to an hour to get ready for walking outside in any capacity, then you need to sound the alarm because
there you go.
that is a hot thirst trap. Hot thirst trap. And
Yep,
they seek the attention and approval from people, not you. Not you.
yeah,
That is a
exactly. It's
they care too much about how they are perceived by other people. I had my students ask me the other day, uh, they're like, do you get upset when other guys hit on your girl? I'm like, I don't like it, but it's part of the game. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, look, if you date somebody that's pretty, guys aren't going to notice. That happens. You can't stop a pretty girl from getting noticed by guys. You guys notice she's pretty. You're asking me about that, so obviously you noticed.
yep,
But you need to be careful. Do they care
yeah.
about
That's
being seen as hot to other people? Or do they only care how they look for you? And
and
that is,
themselves,
yeah, and
right?
themselves. Like I don't dress up for anybody other than my girl, and vice versa.
I say in those situations, what I'm saying to the woman that I'm dating, or if it's the other way, the woman what they're saying to you, the woman to the man, or however that is, whatever relationship you choose to have, as long as you're communicating it to your partner in a manner that resonates with them and vice versa, then the outside noise will be there. And of course, like everyone likes to hear that, oh, hey, you look pretty today. Oh, hey, you're hot today. Hey, that guy looks really good. Blah, 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 blah. What I always worry about is I'd much rather have individuals vocalize these, what does St. Matthew say? Like, you've already sinned inside your head if you've thought about it, right? So like, I'd rather have you say it out loud. So number one, you're announcing your compliment or announcing your intent, and then see how, to your point, like see how it resonates with the other person. And obviously, if it resonates in a manner that isn't consistent with the relationship, hey, red flag. But if it's taken as like, oh, thanks, sweetie, thanks, son, oh, blah 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 blah, you move on from it. Worry, big time red flag when you have individuals who sit there and they're just, you know, fixated on someone, don't say anything about it. But yet the other individual is like, oh, so and so is checking me out. Oh, hey, so and so likes this. Or you have individuals who get caught up into the whole um, celebrity cycle of that stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's my dream man. That's my dream man. That's my dream woman. That's my dream woman. When, how can you have that ideology when you are invested in a relationship in front of you? Because all you're going to do is start comparing what isn't there in front of you, because subconsciously, us as people, that's what we do. We do it all the time. It's like
Yeah.
it's very difficult for us to sit there and say, "Oh, hey, I appreciate this, and this," because consistency breeds content. Content breeds comfortability. The comfortabilityness, you just become stagnant. But when you're like, "Oh, we don't have a car like them. Oh, we don't have a house like them. Oh, we don't have this," and like those are easy things to make connections to.
Mhm.
And 9 times out of 10, anytime we draw comparisons with people, it's like this. Oh, I wish, like, man, I wish I was taller. I wish
Mhm.
it's like, well, you're not. So
What it is.
it is right. It is
You
what it
know,
is. Right.
and modern dating is much different than the past. I'm old school, and
Old school, daddy, old school.
I stick to my guns on that. Now, I'm no love expert. I don't have a long track record of marriage and 25 years with a ring on,
Hmm.
still being madly in love. I'm
Right.
me.
Hmm.
While I'm madly in love, I can't say that I've got 25 years under my belt. But in today's modern world, we're hearing this thing called a hall pass
Oh yeah.
and a celebrity hall pass. And I think that's a dangerous game to play because those are seeds for jealousy. Those are seeds for um, what's the word where you cheat on your spouse?
No infidelity.
Infidelity. Yeah. And I get that you get that pass, but once you give that pass away, it's hard to take that pass back. You've
Yeah.
already sowed those seeds to where now they're like, well, that looks like a good candidate. That looks like a good candidate. And then you start looking at other women the way you should be looking at your significant other,
Right. And vice versa. I mean,
and
it plays
vice
both.
versa,
It plays both ways.
because
Right.
100% plays both ways. And I get
Mhm.
people have all sorts of kinks and fetishes, and we're not talking to them. We're
No.
talking to the average normal person that doesn't need to get cuckolded uh, right in front of their very eyes to get
Safe word.
off.
Safe word. Sorry.
Yeah. They don't need to see their significant other getting plowed while they're in a rocking chair in front of them to keep it spicy, so to say.
Right. Exactly.
Uh, that's a little bit more spice than I'd like in my salmon.
Hmm. Absolutely. It is. Anytime we open up the doors and allow more permission or more flexibility than
Old
and
school.
yeah, not as old school, but it's like, and I'll touch on it real quick,
Sorry, I
because
was reading
yeah,
B-Dub's
beat up
comment,
stuff,
which
yeah, I know.
good brother.
Um, and I like I said, I don't have, like, tons and tons of time, but the point being is, I was, and I'm going to draw the parallel to these midterms, right? A little bit of a shock, but not overly shocked, because the swing in a lot of these races were from these younger, more left leaning, more moderately liberal, liberally moderate individuals. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Obviously, that the the makeup and the demographic of, like, a specific voter has definitely changed. We're in 2022. It's not 1950s. It's not even in the 80s. But what I took away from it, and to your point about the hall pass, is that, and I apply this to kids, right? And you can apply this to your kids in your class. If you tell your kids in your class, um, "Hey, if we do good all week, we're having an ice cream party on Friday." So
Hmm.
now you come back and you say, "Hey, guess what? Can't have the ice cream party anymore." The kids will be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. Like, well, we all did what we were supposed to do. We all voted for the ice cream party. Like, we should have an ice cream party."
Hmm.
When you give somebody something and then you have to pull it back for whatever reason, it might be the most noble, righteous, virtuous reasons in the world. People inherently, especially younger ones who are impressionable, when you allow them certain freedoms and certain opportunities to make whatever choice, it is very difficult then to take that back. And then they will, you know, they'll go to the mattresses, they'll go to the polls, they'll keep going down that road in order to hold on to what they were given. I'm not giving it back. Why should I give it back? I don't need to give it. They want it, come and get it from me. But I'm gonna do
Mhm.
everything in my power, that I know I can do to not compromise that.
And
Case in
there's the
point,
key.
right? There's the key. Right, exactly. So, I yeah. Hmm, sorry about that.
Okay.
One of my hinges was a little hinged up here. But no, I I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about we always talk about as like you're opening up Pandora's box. Like you are. Like, once you go down that road, it's very, very difficult to turn around and try to come back and be on the same plane that you left with. That's
Mm.
why, you know, all these adages that you hear in music, you can't go home, you never go back to the same place, da 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 da. It's true, right? It's really, really true. And understanding that and knowing that before you even venture down that road in the first place, maybe there is a little credo and credence to, yeah, being prudent, being temperate. you know the grass isn't always greener. Maybe there's other things you should invest in, have a little patience, have a little time, like Axel says, just a little bit of patience. But everything is so fast forward in 2022. Everything is so available. Everything is so right now in your face, instantaneous. If you're not getting your recognition, appreciation, validation, just go find it. It's just there. Just go find it. So, hey, I'm hooked up with this guy. I'm hooked up with this girl. We've got all this stuff going on. But hey, you know what? She's not getting me the way that I want to get it. You know what? Hold on a second. Tinder date,
Mhm.
event, game. Like there's always an avenue, especially nowadays. Whereas like before, you take a breath, you put things in perspective, and where those were the anomalies in the past, because everybody knew somebody who was stepping out. Everybody knew somebody who was cheating on their girlfriend. Everybody knew somebody who was,
Mhm.
this Stepford wife who was banging like the milkman. Everybody, like that all happened. But the readiness and the availability to which to reach these outlets, there's no governor, right? There's no filter. There's no hurdle you have to get over nowadays. I mean, like,
Mhm.
here's your phone. Here's your computer. You want something? Just go find it.
Speaking of availability,
Yes, sir.
as you know, I live in the Democratic dumpster fire known as Arizona.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
You know, it's really embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. Um, I'd just like the audience to know that Katie Hobbs, who's our Secretary of State running for governor,
Mhm, mhm.
is leading the race still. She is in charge of elections, making sure that they work, making sure that everybody has the chance to vote, making sure that on election day things go off without a hitch.
Mm.
Now, we all know that early balloting and ballot harvesting tends to be left leaning. Everybody
Okay.
knows this. Democrats vote early.
That's right.
And this was a system only put in place because of COVID, why it still exists. You guys can do the math. But I'd just like to show the audience this. If you don't think that election fraud exists, here is one of my early ballots. Oh, but wait, here is another one from another county.
Mm.
Two, count it, one, two chances for me to vote. I'm a registered independent. Imagine how many I would have gotten if I were a Democrat.
Wow. Wow.
The proof's right here, folks. There is no denying election fraud. existing. It's right
Hmm.
here. The proof is in the pudding. What did I do? Did not mail those son bitches in. Absolutely not. What did I do? I went in person. What happened? Took me 10 minutes. In, out, done. Now, it's very interesting that there's not more coverage on this, but 20% of the voting machines went down. Over 2,000 of
Hmm.
them went down on election day, knowing that the majority of people that vote on election day are Republican.
Imagine that.
And when you start to look at the areas where the voting machines stopped and these voters that showed up and did their civic duty, like we've done for 200 years in this country, who have now been disenfranchised. We heard that a lot these last 2 years, mainly from
Hmm.
Stacey Abrams and such, about disenfranchisement of voters.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, the machines that went down in Maricopa County, the largest voting base in the state, wow, they happen to be Republican held. Interesting. How is it that the voting machines were able to distinguish, huh, we're going to fail, but only in these cities?
Hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that there was dirty hands at play, but I'm certainly not saying that there wasn't dirty hands at play. The thing that frustrates me about this is we keep hearing about disinformation, conspiracy theories. You want those to stop? Stop fucking up so that people do that and be mistrustful. Stop lying. Stop having shit go. Like, only in America could you fail miserably at your job and still fail upwards. Like, her job as Secretary of State, her number one job is elections. They only happen 2 times a year, or
Yes.
pardon me, once every 2 years. And she couldn't get that right, and you
You know.
think that a bozo that couldn't figure this out is good to be our governor? Someone who hid, someone who did not debate, somebody who ignored every opportunity to plead her case, convince independents, hey, this is why I should be your candidate. She took a letter out and in Fox News of why she should be the candidate. And Fox News, to their credit, printed it out mainly because it was such a joke.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they used it like, ha ha ha, this is hilarious. Uh, but the fact of the matter is they let her do it.
You know.
And go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Finish up.
Don't really have too much left. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is you have machines not working in Republican held cities, voting
Yep.
polls that didn't work.
I woke up that morning and I woke up to issues in Mercer County in New Jersey. Same stuff going on. And then lo and behold, as I'm making my way, across the bridge and doing what I need to do, I get the alert. Boom, Maricopa County stuff down, blah, blah. It's right to Twitter, all this stuff, and I look through it, and it hit me. And it's it's not even a matter. And I think that this is where a lot of people stand, right? Like, yeah, it gets in your crawl a little bit more that it's specific to a majority of conservative, moderate conservative areas where this stuff happens. But to your point exactly, and as I tweeted, you have one job to do. It's not like, you know, we're doing this every day. It's not like this is happening at random times. You know that every 2 years, or every 4 years for a presidential, like you're going to vote. Like your entire job consists of accurately counting the votes. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Dude, if I lose because you got more votes than me, more power to you. But it should be so simple and seamless, this process. It makes no sense. It'd be like, it'd be like going to McDonald's and they're like, on that particular day, on like National French Fry Day, all the French fry machines would be broken. Like this is what you do.
Yeah.
Like you're in charge. And to your point, when you
But
have these
it's the
elected
french
officials,
fry
listen,
machines for the people who like Burger King.
exactly, exactly, exactly. We don't have our fries today. But yeah,
Yep.
it really baffles me, and that's why and listen, when Abrams gets up there and she complains about voter suppression, then there's record turnout, and they could worry about people not going here and not going there. Listen, if you can, I said this on my program either Monday or Wednesday, if you can all get up together and you can go to the tractor pull, you can go to the R&B concert, you can go to the winery, you can go anything in any demo for one day, you can figure out how to get the vote. I personally believe that election day, national holiday, shut it down. No
Boom.
excuses whatsoever. Get your ass to the polls.
100%. And we
Get
would
your ass to the polls.
and that would solve so many problems. So
Yep.
many that would solve the excuses that people make
Biggest responsibility that you have as a citizen of this country.
is voting.
If that isn't a national holiday, I don't know what is. Now you want your little local elections and your school board stuff and blah 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 blah.
No.
To each their own. Figure that stuff out. But your state representative, your congressional representative, you're damn sure your governor, and you're damn sure your president. There is absolutely no doubt, no shadow of a doubt that it should be shut it down, lock it down. And you know what it would do too? It's like the individuals that when they bitch and complain about a lot of these other holidays, like, oh, give the kids off, get the kids off, get the kids off. I love like MLK Day, right? Like, I love the fact that we celebrate Dr. King's birthday. I love the fact that there is an opportunity to take a break and reflect. Unfortunately, people aren't taking those days in majority to give back to their community. So, why wouldn't you keep the individuals in school and make a full day of school about helping in your community, growing relationships, reaching across the aisle, stepping outside of your comfort zone? Like we drop the ball on so many of these, like, here's a softball, and they're like, oh, I missed it again.
Yeah.
Like people want reform, people want to make actual change. Then like stop taking the day off. Put in like formulate it, format it, put in some effort. You have days like this where people are like, I can't do this, I can't get there, I can't take off. No, 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 no.
No.
Go and vote. Go and vote. Go
Paid
and vote.
holiday,
Yeah,
plain and
paid holiday.
simple.
Exactly.
It's the one thing that you have to do to have a democratic government.
Right.
Democracy is based upon voting. The fact that we could have
And it
MLK
has to be
Day
done, and
or Labor
it has to be
Day
recorded
or
accurately too.
Memorial Day or Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
Thanksgiving. We have Thanksgiving off. It's now a 2-day holiday,
That's right.
essentially.
Yep.
And
Used to be a
I
3 day
love,
holiday for me. We had off Monday for Thanksgiving was the first day of hunting season.
yeah, well, I love the fact that we have those days off. Oh,
Hunting
but the
weather.
fact that we don't have one of the most important days in our nation's history,
Hmm.
in the world's history, is absurd. And the fact that we, specifically in Arizona, are
Hmm.
going through this voting nonsense. Look at Florida. They got rid of all those stupid stipulations. Boom, done. Remember the days when you would watch your parents vote and you knew what it was going to be before you went to bed at night?
Oh yeah,
Remember
absolutely.
when we used to vote early on
Yep.
and we would watch the news at night to see who it was, and you knew before you went to bed.
That's right.
Why do you think France and other European countries are able to get their election results in a timely fashion accurately? They got rid of all the electronic machines and hand count because of the inconsistencies and the ease in which things can go wrong. Politico literally put out a report
Hmm.
right before the election talking about voter fraud. Now, we
Yeah.
all know what they were trying to push. They were selling that their elections were going to be rigged.
Right.
That's why the red wave was going to come. They didn't think, wait a minute, if we're doing something on the low, ding, 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 fingers are going to start to get pointed. Like, it's very simple. It's a very simple problem to fix.
Yeah. Extremely
National
simple.
holiday,
Yep.
vote count in person. Boom, done.
Yep.
Game over. It's
Exactly.
that simple.
Yep.
Anybody who is too lazy to not be able to get in there to vote, and I get the stipulations with people who are old and sick and this and that. We can amend it to where maybe this population is able to get in early balloting. And I know people will bitch and complain, well, why don't I? Well, suck it up. Life isn't fair, okay?
Right.
These are the elderly. Let's
Right.
treat them
If
differently.
you right, if you're an elderly individual, if you're retired, or if you have a disability that prevents you without assistance from
Military
completing
abroad.
your military right, then you know what? Have a finite amount of these ballots. And this isn't like, oh, I am about you're being so horrible, Duncan, blah blah blah. But it's like you're tasking then your population who is essentially mailing it in, mailing it in, mailing it in, and alleviating of that responsibility to actually present themselves and say, "Hi, I am
Or
citizen
here,
blah blah blah
fill
blah
this
blah."
out for me, fill
Right.
this out for me, fill this
Exactly.
out for me. You're not checking the boxes yourself, you know?
Right.
Even if you're
Exactly.
as lazy as going, looking at a DRNR and going down the line, like
Right.
you still showed up, you still did your civic duty, and you still took the effort to do it. We shouldn't be rewarding lazy people. COVID is over,
Yep. And that's
okay?
that's a that's a conversation that I want to get into next week about how
Yeah.
we are now empowering the disassociated, lazy, lackadaisical culture that is now becoming more or less like the loudest voice in the room. It used to be people would bark about something and it's like, well, have you ever done this? And it was like, no, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn. I said this
Yeah, well, it's
yesterday.
because we placate the loudest people. And I'd like
Right.
to amend my previous statement of saying
Mhm.
COVID is over. COVID is not over. It will never be over. We know this,
Correct.
okay?
Correct.
But the epidemic is
Yes.
over.
That part is over. Yes,
That
definitely.
part is over.
Hey, I don't want to cut things short, but I need to run to an appointment before I pick up the other ones from school today. I will be on later today after Tony Bruno's show went to the nightcap. John from Made for Play Action Real Playing Renee Z.
Who, who?
Um, Uncle Rico, please come back to the program. Join us. Love to have more conversation talks like this. You have anything coming up on No Filter?
Of course not. I'm a bum. And I get
You're a bum.
roasted every time I go on
All right.
my brother and Burns show. When are you going to do more cautionary tales? I'm like, I did one last week. You guys
Uh
didn't notice. Um,
huh.
they are right. I think I'm gonna start doing a little bit more content now that football season's done, and
Yeah.
I am not taking a full time coaching position for basketball. I'm just gonna be helping out
Good.
because
Good.
you know
I'm glad. Well,
I
I miss you, man.
yeah, I
I
miss
miss
you
you.
too.
But you know what it
So
is? It's like I did the same thing about a week ago. It's like you've got to make sure that your house is as in order as possible.
yeah,
And that takes a lot. Like sometimes
100%.
And that there is something to that out there, people. Like, you can't help others unless you're helping yourself in a situation. There's a whole mess of stuff, and we talk about that.
Yeah.
But it really is. But
I have such
thank
a
you, thank you.
profound respect for coaches and parents that are able to get it done.
Oh
Like
man.
I was running 10, 12-hour days
Hmm.
and I don't have kids. Like there's people doing that shit every day. And then they've
Yeah,
got to go home and take care of other people.
yeah.
Like I've got stuff that I need to take care of around the house that gets neglected or pushed off until the weekend. And
Hmm.
you want to be there for your loved ones. I want to be there to laugh and play and cook and do all the little things that I do with my girl to keep us madly in love. And some of that stuff gets brushed aside when
Sure.
you don't prioritize it that way. So I love
People
you.
are priorities,
Get
man.
Yeah, people and priorities. I may see you later tonight. Thank you for having me on once again. I miss your face and I love you.
Mwah. Beso, besos. See you,
Mm.
buddy. Talking a bit. All right, everyone. Later tonight, one more quarter. Done for today. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12:15. NoFilter.net. Tonight, into the nightcap following Tony Bruno's show. Tony Bruno, 7 to 9 p.m. Into the nightcap right after. Usually starts 9:15, couple minutes give or take. We'll be back on. Everyone have a great afternoon. Brian, thanks for joining. Luker, thanks for joining. Everybody else in the chat sees us later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll get into availability, being the best ability next week. Make the right choices. Be there for the right people. Make sure you're available to yourself so you can be there for other people. Have a good day. See you later.